president and be on a major party ticket as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
You can't lie no more about politics, no more. We juice so raw until where no more our flows expose holes they find in yours. One more time, slow. You can't lie no more about politics, no more. Until where no more we juice so raw our flows expose holes they find in yours. Trump takes back spotlight with inflammatory comments to black journalists. Published July 31st, 2024. Reading on down, former President Donald Trump reinserted himself into the spotlight, seized by his new Democratic rival in a familiar fashion Wednesday, and engaging in a string of inflammatory comments, this time questioning Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. Trump falsely asserted during an event with black journalists that Harris was Indian all the way, and suddenly became a black person. He also gave credence to those suggesting Harris does not deserve to be vice president by saying that she could be in the job because of a push for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he lambasted one of the event's black moderators as very rude, turning the event into a spectacle that could refocus attention on his 2024 White House campaign. Trump has long been accused of racism, from his reaction to a white supremacist rally in Virginia in 2017 to his description of undocumented migrants. This week, his nephew released a book detailing an episode where Trump allegedly used a racial slur. Yet, polls show him making gains with black male voters, and the NABJ even offered him an opportunity to again reach out to that community and try to solidify his support, even as he now faces a black opponent who would be the first black woman president if elected in November. I don't know where to begin with this article pertaining to its multiplicity of lies and misinformation. So we're going to go back to the video with Trump. We're going to let some of that play, and then we're going to dissect it from there.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
That's Rachel Scott from ABC, a news organization which Trump discredited in that real live interview. Not only did he lambaste her, he lambasted ABC for being for a proponent of fake news. We co-sign that here on this channel. But there were some other things he also said that we co-signed. Not everything he said in the interview, but there were some very significant things that was brought out as Rachel Scott, an employee of ABC, tried to grill him. But Trump showed up. DJT did show up. He was looking for not Jim Crow Joe. He was looking for No Show Joe and Kamala Camouflage Harris. And we're going to explain to you why we call her Cop Camouflage Kamala Harris in time. But the interviewer, Rachel Scott, she was pressing Trump on whether or not will you take back or will you make the people in your party stop suggesting that Kamala is an EDI hire? And then where she stepped into it, where she stepped into it is when she began to categorize and equate DEI and black people. she made a monumental mistake when she said that, when she asked the question, when Trump said, define DEI, she said diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then she translated that or equated that with Kamala Harris being a black woman. DEI and black people have nothing in common. That's a white racist talking point, believe it or not. Now I get it. Scott was trying to comment on the racism from the right, but when she stepped into it, she asked that question. Were y'all going at Kamala? Are y'all attacking Kamala because she's a black woman? He said for the longest time of him knowing her, she always classified and categorized herself as Indian American. Now we got right here, we have in real time her online autobiography, and we're taking a look at what it says. On January 20, 2021, according to what Trump was saying in the early years of the 2000, in the year 2020 time period, before she was the vice president, she was classifying herself as Indian American. And this article will confirm on this January 20th, 2021, Kamala D. Harris became the first woman, the first African American woman, the first Indian American, the first person of Asian American descent, and the first graduate of an HBCU to be sworn in as the Vice President of the United States of America. Now stop right there. They classified her as African American, Indian American, and Asian American. This sounds like identity theft to me, family. How can you be all three in one? Sounds like identity theft to me for politics. And when he said that she's not black, we agree. I'm going to say what my people of the Dominican Republic say. She no black, Poppy. Poppy, she no black. She no black, Poppy. No, she's not black. She does not have any blood. Her ancestors do not have one drop of blood in the land of America. At best, she's an African American. But when you start equating African Americans with black America, or shall we say African Americans who can be non-immigrants with black Americans, the non-immigrants, now we have a significant, huge problem. Because this is the game that the Democratic Party tends to play. This is how they like to muddy the waters. They like to muddy the water between the term African American and black, and they're not the same. In previous videos, I showed you how the club in Berlin, the Berghain, would not let Elon Musk in there, and he can be classified as an African American, having African descent or African visa or African passport, and then migrating to America. That qualifies him to some degree as an African American. So she can be classified as an African American at best. At best, she's an African American. But because she is culpable of, dare I say, racial theft identity, we tend to say she's not just Indian American, she's a Blendian American, because she blends in wherever she goes. She's like Lisa Simpson.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
The country is broke?
You don't know if she's black, white, yellow, you just don't know. She's the first Blendian American and the first person of Asian American descent. They tried to hit all 3-4 birds with one smooth stone, huh? With this Miss Kamala Harris, okay? So this is what's going on. Let's break this down. Black Americans, African Americans versus black Americans. See, African American is what the Democrats like to classify all people. But even if you use this term African American, you're going to have to dissect that to some degree. No, we're not being divisive, Miss Kamala. We're not being divisive. We are properly dividing. To come up with the sound mathematical equation as to how we're going to get the reparations back to the black 44 million non-immigrants who all have ancestral blood, or shall I say their ancestors have blood in the soil and at the conception of the land we currently all stand. Do you understand? I'm never ever throwing my African brothers and sisters under the bus who operate and live throughout the diaspora. I've showed you in previous videos the difference between a black immigrant or an African immigrant brother or a brown immigrant brother versus a brown immigrant tether or a black immigrant tether. Understand? So we clearly say on this side of the channel, Kamala no black, Kamala no black, she no black, she is no black, no black. And it's not just because of her janky, blendian lineage background, not because of that, because we've had light-skinned people on our team who are actually some of the most black of us all. For example, Muammar Gaddafi. Can't get much lighter and you can't get much more blacker in consciousness, mentality, and activity than a Muammar Gaddafi. Louis Farrakhan, Malcolm X, some of the most black people you ever come in contact with. There's no doubt. So we're not talking about skin tone, complexion, and the different shades of melanin. We're talking about policy, and we're talking about lineage. Understand? What are her policies as to why we say she's not black? She runs on 4 of them. We already discussed them in the previous video, Tethers of a Feather. But just for a quick recap, she's pro illegal immigration, she's pro abortion, she's pro voting rights, she's pro trans, and she's an anti-reparationist. And she has confirmed all of the things which I just stated.
No, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black
I
woman. She went to a
respect either
historically black
one.
college.
She did not always classify herself as black. That's a bold-faced lie. Black and African American are not the same. Black can represent the black people throughout the diaspora. Black can represent the black non-immigrants who are a part of the overall black diaspora. But when we talk about black in America, we're usually talking about the 44 million black non-immigrants of America. We have brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora who are black immigrants who are a part of us, but they are not of the non-immigrant classification. So when Camouflage Kamala is out here costume playing a black American of the non-immigrant status in an attempt to collect their votes, we have a lot of problem with that. I'm happy. I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm happy to see Trump go up on stage, stand, dare I say, even as a racist, as a white racist, which Trump is, and yes, he is far less racist than Joe Biden and Kamala combined, and I will qualify and quantify that in time in a different video. But by the very definition of what racism is, you're going to have to agree with me that Joe Biden and Kamala are more of that than Trump is. But we were happy to see Trump on stage, dare I say, even in his white skin, as a white racist, dare I say, standing on black business, standing on black non-immigrant business. No, she ain't black. She never classified herself as black. She's only black when convenient. We just showed you the documents of her actual online autobiography. The only thing black in her biography are the letters. She's a blendian, a pretendian, a tether, cosplaying black non-immigrants. I can't say this enough. Shout out to all my immigrant family throughout the diaspora. Shout out to them. But we're talking right here, we standing on black American, black non-immigrant business. And we're not going to allow the Democratic Party to muddy the waters in this conversation because we're pushing towards something which the federal government owes black non-immigrants. The federal government don't owe Asian Americans. The federal government don't owe Indian Americans. The federal government don't owe African Americans nothing. But the federal government is in debt and it owes the black non-immigrants of America. That's why we are not, I repeat, we are not being divisive, but we are rightly dividing to come up with the proper and sound mathematical equation to get back to what? That severance package, those reparations. That's the juice.